All right, let's take a look at the universe. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of some, well, we're not. We're going to get into the superficial tip of the iceberg of science. Taking a look at nature, the argument from design. Here we go. There was once a group of philosophers having dinner together. One of them was a Christian. The others asked him, they asked him, there's two things I want you to learn from this show, kids. Number one is that Jesus loves you. And the second important thing I want you to take away every time you listen to me trying to teach you something is that the show is free, so don't complain. The others asked him, the Christian philosopher that they were having dinner with, if someone were to ask you for proof that God exists, what would you say? He considered it for a moment, and then he said, I would take him into my garden, and I would show him the flowers and trees and insects and the fish in my pond. And then he went back to eating. That's it, his friends asked. That's all you would say? What if he looked around at your garden and he still did not believe that there was a God? I would tell him, he replied, to look closer. Ha! So get on your boots and grab some bug repellent, because today we are venturing out into nature to take a look around. If you see a bear, stay in the car. It's just good advice. I've already shown you in the Kalam cosmological argument that the entire universe can be used as proof for the existence of God. Now, I'm going to bring the search a little closer to home, a little planet I like to call Earth. Although it would still be called Earth even if I didn't like to call it that. So that's... Anyway, this argument is not as philosophically airtight as my previous arguments. This one should simply make sense. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Well, I do anyway, and I invite you to do the same. There are two things you need to be on the lookout for today. First, really big things. Second, really small things. The first ones will be easier to find, so let's start there. Psalm 19, verses 1 to 2 say, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. The heavens are a nice big place to start, since you don't need to travel far to see them. You just gotta look up when you're outside. Otherwise you're just gonna see your ceiling. It's not the same. When we look up into the vast endless black and see the billions of stars, I think we all have the same first thought. If I had $1 for each one of those, right? But soon we get to thinking about the vastness of space and how it makes us feel really small. Let me give you some idea of how small. First, look at the room you're in. This would work even if the room you're in was a super Walmart. If this room was the entire Earth, you would not be able to see your house from here. It's too small. Now imagine the room is the entire solar system. You would not be able to see the Earth. It's too small. Now imagine the room is the whole galaxy. You would probably never find the solar system. It's too small. Do you see where I'm going with this? Odds are you think you need to lose weight when in fact you are already immeasurably tiny. Go ahead and have that donut. The universe will never know the difference. That's what I tell myself. The great bigness of creation gives us a glimpse of how we should see God. He's really big, and we are, inversely, really small. And you don't need a galaxy to experience this. Lock eyes with a lion, or stand near an elephant, or a waterfall. Or lock eyes with a lion on an elephant under a waterfall, if you can make that happen. And if you can make that happen, please send me a picture of it. I'd like to see that too. Where was I? Watch big waves crash on your favorite beach. Try to climb a mountain, or just drive around some. All of these common natural things will do the trick. Their majestic bigness touches our soul with the reminder of our smallness. No one ever stands before the Grand Canyon and says, "This is huge," which reminds me, I'm totally awesome. No one watches lightning crash around a tornado and says, "This just goes to show how important I am." Important or not, you wind up in the basement praying that God saves you from an unscheduled trip to Oz. We represent a lollipop guild, and we love to feel awed by nature. We love to feel awed by nature. Everyone loves to stand before great majestic mountains and feel small. We love to watch waves crashing on an endless ocean. This is why we vacation in California and not in Iowa. No one says, "I have 2 weeks off and I'm going to spend them somewhere flat. Give me featureless plains with nothing blocking my view of that horizon." endless miles of corn and one tree. That is my idea of paradise. I'm fairly certain the title of the movie, Field of Dreams, was sarcasm. But I digress. When you consider the wonders of nature, it's no strange thing that many cultures have been nature worshippers. Nature was designed to show the glory of God. Some people have simply mistaken the self-portrait for the artist. The Apostle Paul says this in Romans chapter 1. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. It's not a good mistake to make, but when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. There is something in nature which makes us all feel the need to worship. It's just wiser to worship the Creator than his creation. For one thing, unlike the Creator who loves you, the creation isn't listening. Besides that, much of it will just kill and eat you, so it makes a lousy God. Just saying. The study of the really tiny is a branch of science which is still working to peer deeper into the depths of the universe. Back in the day, June 20th, 1896, people knew that all life was made of cells, but they didn't know what a cell was. Under the microscope, they saw a light blob with a dark blob inside of it. They thought it was like a tiny chunk of jello with a single piece of fruit floating in it. Nothing could be further from the truth. Each cell is, in fact, an amazing set of machinery which rivals the most advanced factory. Imagine a completely automated car factory, which can not only produce cars, but can replicate itself into two identical and functional factories in only a few hours. That is what each of your trillions of cells are like. If that doesn't impress you, I don't know what will. For a really good explanation of how complex some of this stuff is, check out Darwin's Black Box by Michael Behe, which is spelled B-E-H-E, if I spelled it correctly. Among other things, Behe shows how the machinery driving a bacteria is like an outboard motor, only more efficient and powerful. Although if you have a 20-foot fishing boat, you'll want more than one bacteria pushing it. You're not going to catch a lot of fish that way. You'll probably catch a terrible disease instead, but I digress. The amazing complexity of life on the scale of the tiny is made of machines which rival anything mankind has yet produced. And this includes the internet, the Wii, the iPod Touch, and Hot Pockets. As Paul and the Psalms point out, nature speaks for itself. Though you don't need to get that small to find amazement. Study any of your local animals. An ant can lift 50 times its own weight, although I don't know why it would want to. A spider's web is stronger than steel, which you can testify to if you've done some spring cleaning. Bunnies can sleep with their eyes open. Try that sometimes. It's not as easy as it sounds. Unless you're a wizard. Apparently that's bunnies and wizards. The wonders of creation are endless. For details, see your local library, zoo, or pet store. In the future, I will devote some time to explaining how Darwinian evolution fails to explain life as we know it. It's a lot to sum up. For right now, let me paraphrase everyone's favorite atheist poster child, Richard Dawkins, from his book, The God Delusion. One of the greatest challenges to the human intellect has been to explain how the complex, improbable appearance of design in the universe arises. The natural temptation is to attribute the appearance of design to actual design itself. Thank you, Richard. In summary, the universe, and especially life, contains amazing design and information. Dawkins will then spend a great deal of time and effort making weak and insufficient arguments to try to deny what he has just admitted was the most natural explanation. Design and information don't come from any natural processes or chemical laws. Music comes from a musician. Art comes from an artist. Design comes from a designer. And information can only come from a mind. So why can't Dawkins see the obvious? Why does he choose a less obvious conclusion? It's because there are some ideas so absurd, it takes a PhD to believe them. And Dawkins has a PhD in absurdity. And biology. I guess he's got more than one. The best resources on the science of creation and the scientific evidence against evolution comes from our good friends Answers in Genesis, founded by Ken Ham. A huge collection of online articles and videos from Answers in Genesis can be found at answersingenesis.org. It's memorable. As American philosopher Peter Kraft once said, "There is the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, therefore there must be God." Either you get that or you don't. Nature is the same. I recommend a trip to the zoo or your favorite national park. If you look around, I promise you, you will see the fingerprints of God. If you don't, do yourself a favor. Look closer. But remember to keep a safe distance from spiders, bears, and raccoons. That's the best advice I can give you.
Jesus loves you is the message we send. Thanks for letting me be your rent-a-friend. You're listening to Rent-a-Friend Radio.